上呢，我们模考的试卷是18年12月份的第一套，7点钟准时开始播放音频，请大家准备好。
现在是英语4级听力考试时间，听力考试时间大约只需25分钟。现在，请将耳机调至78频道。接下来是试音环节。
In this part, there are 3 sections. You will hear 3 news reports in Section A, 2 long conversations in Section B, and 3 passages in Section C. At the end of each news report, conversation and passage, there are a number of questions. All the listening materials and questions will be spoken only once. After you hear a question, you must choose the best answer from the 4 choices, marked A, B, C and D. Then, mark the corresponding letter on answer sheet 1 with a single line through the centre.
试音结束，听考试现在开始。
College English Test, Band 4, Part 2, Listening Comprehension, Section A. Directions. In this section, you will hear 3 news reports. At the end of each news report, you will hear 2 or 3 questions. Both the news report and the questions will be spoken only once. After you hear a question, you must choose the best answer from the 4 choices marked A, B, C and D. Then, mark the corresponding letter on answer sheet 1 with a single line through the centre.
News Report 1. A device that weighs less than 1 kilogram is part of a mission that will allow scientists to deliver 4th generation, or 4G, mobile coverage to the moon in 2019. If successful, the tiny device will provide the moon with its first ever mobile phone network. The lunar network will support high-definition streaming of video and data between the moon and Earth. The network is part of Mission to the Moon. This is a project with the goal of landing the first privately paid-for mission to the moon. The 4G mission is set to launch from Cape Canaveral in the United States on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket in 2019. Mission to the Moon intends to establish and test the first elements of a communications network on the moon. The scientists working on the project opted to build a 4G rather than a 5th generation, or 5G, network. This is because 5th generation networks are still in testing and trial phases. This means that a 5G network may not yet be stable enough to work on the moon's surface.
Questions 1 and 2 are based on the news report you have just heard. Question 1. What are scientists planning to do? Question 2. Why did scientists choose to set up a 4G network in their mission? News Report 2. Firefighters responded to a fire Wednesday night at an abandoned mall in Hayward. The fire was reported at 9:26 p.m. at an old shopping centre on Mission Avenue near St Mary's Church. 6 fire engines, 2 trucks and 2 chiefs responded to the scene. Crews had the fire under control in about 45 minutes and managed to contain the fire to its point of origin. There were some people inside the building when the fire broke out, but there were no reports of any injuries. Fire investigators have responded to the scene, but have not yet determined the cause of the fire. Firefighters will remain on the scene until later this morning to ensure that the fire doesn't start up again. The shopping mall had not been in use since 2002. In 2014, City Hall developed a plan to knock down the building and replace it with affordable housing. However, the plan was dropped due to lack of funds.
Questions 3 and 4 are based on the news report you have just heard. Question 3. What does the news item say about the fire? Question 4. What had City Hall planned to do? News Report 3. Potato chips in Japan are being sold for 6 times their normal price. This is after the country's main manufacturer stopped sales due to a potato shortage. Storms and floods in its main potato growing region last year caused the worst harvest in more than 3 decades. Local media reports suggest Calbee and its main rival, Koikiya, are halting almost 50 products. We don't know when we'll be able to restart, a company spokesman said. Snack lovers are panic buying, and many supermarket shelves are bare. Japanese laws limit the amount of imported potatoes that can be used in Japanese-made products. Japan says fear of disease is its main reason to block fresh imports. It still only allows potatoes from selected U.S. states. This is only at certain times and on condition that they are processed at factories based near Japanese ports. But global warming has raised the possibility that domestic produce could be seriously affected by rare weather events more often.
Questions 5 to 7 are based on the news report you have just heard. Question 5. What problem is Japan facing? Question 6. Why does Japan limit the import of potatoes? Question 7. What might affect Japanese domestic produce?
Section B. Directions. In this section, you will hear 2 long conversations. At the end of each conversation, you will hear 4 questions. Both the conversation and the questions will be spoken only once. After you hear a question, you must choose the best answer from the 4 choices marked A, B, C, and D. Then mark the corresponding letter on answer sheet 1 with a single line through the center.
Conversation 1.
Mr. Brown's lectures are so boring.
Yes, he is not a very exciting speaker, but the subject is interesting.
During every one of his lectures, I try to listen. I really try. But after about 10 minutes, my mind begins to wander and I lose concentration. But I see that you seem to be okay. How do you stay focused through the entire hour?
Well, what I do is keep my pen moving.
What do you mean?
It's a method of active concentration I read about. One of the most effective ways to concentrate is to write things down. But it has to be done by hand, not typing on a keyboard. You see, writing by hand forces you to actually engage with what you're learning in a more physical way.
Do you review your notes afterwards then?
Sometimes, but that's not important. My notes may or may not be useful, but the point is that by writing down what Mr. Brown says, I can follow his line of thinking more easily. In fact, sometimes I draw a little too.
You draw in class, and that helps you pay attention?
Yes, honestly, it works for me. I just draw little lines and nonsense, really. It was also in that article I read. It can keep the mind active, prevent getting bored, and help to concentrate. Again, the point is to listen hard while keeping the pen moving. If I'm at home and I need to study, what I do is read out loud. It has a similar effect to writing by hand. It helps memorize information in a physical way.
Questions 8 to 11 are based on the conversation you have just heard. Question 8. What does the man think of Mr. Brown's lectures? Question 9. What does the woman do during Mr. Brown's lectures? Question 10. Why does the woman draw in class? Question 11. What does the woman say about reading out loud?
Conversation 2.
And where's this?
These photos are from the Taj Mahal in India. We went there about 10 years ago for our honeymoon.
Was it romantic?
Yeah, the Taj Mahal was a very romantic place. The guide told us there is a famous love story behind this building that all Indians learn in school. I think it was during the 1600s, and the princess at the time died while giving birth to her 14th child. The emperor loved the princess so much and was so sad when she died that he ordered the palace to be built in her honor.
Wow, that sounds very romantic. It looks amazing.
Yes, it's gorgeous. It's also larger in real life than it looks in the photos. The building is very tall, and there are gardens and a wall around it all. It's all built in this white stone, and some walls of the building are decorated with jewels.
It must have been very crowded when you were there.
Yes, it's a very famous tourist destination, so there are thousands of visitors every day.
Was the rest of India crowded?
Yes, very crowded in many cities. It was sometimes so crowded that it was difficult to walk along the streets, especially through busy markets. And there are so many cars. Traffic was terrible, but the people are friendly, the culture is amazing, and we had a great time.
What about the food?
Indian food is great. There are lots of different dishes to try, and every region has its own special food.
Questions 12 to 15 are based on the conversation you have just heard. Question 12. For what purpose did the woman go to India? Question 13. Why was the Taj Mahal built? Question 14. What does the woman say about the Taj Mahal? Question 15. What is the woman's impression of Indian cities? Section C. Directions. In this section, you will hear 3 passages. At the end of each passage, you will hear 3 or 4 questions. Both the passage and the questions will be spoken only once. After you hear a question, you must choose the best answer from the 4 choices marked A, B, C, and D. Then mark the corresponding letter on answer sheet 1 with a single line through the center.
Passage 1. A Pew Research Center survey of more than 1,000 Americans conducted in April 2016 finds that Americans continue to express largely positive views about the current state of their local public libraries. For instance, around 3/4 say that public libraries provide them with the resources they need, and 66% say the closing of their local public library would have a major impact on their community, although notably, just 33% say this would have a major impact on them personally or on their family. A majority of Americans feel libraries are doing a good job of providing a safe place for people to hang out or spend time, as well as opening up educational opportunities for people of all ages. And roughly half think their libraries contribute a lot to their communities in terms of helping spark creativity among young people and providing a trusted place for people to learn about new technologies. As in past Pew Research Center surveys of library use, the April 2016 survey also measured Americans' usage of and engagement with libraries. Overall, 53% of Americans ages 16 and older have had some interaction with a public library in the past year, either through an in-person visit or using a library website. Some 48% of adults specifically visited a library in the past 12 months, a modest increase from the 44% who said that in late 2015.
Questions 16 to 18 are based on the passage you have just heard. Question 16. What do most Americans say about local public libraries? Question 17. How can local public libraries benefit young people? Question 18. What does the 2016 survey show about adult library users? Passage 2. A Savannah cat is a crossbreed between a domestic cat and a medium-sized wild African cat called the serval. The unusual cross became popular among breeders at the end of the 1990s, and in 2001, the International Cat Association accepted it as a new registered breed. The Savannahs are tall and slim and can weigh up to 9.1 kilograms, making them one of the largest breeds of cats that people can own. They have a spotted coat similar to that of many types of wild cats, and their ears are very large. They are also commonly compared to dogs in their loyalty, and can be trained to walk on a lead and to fetch. An often noted characteristic of the Savannah is its jumping ability. They are known to jump on top of doors and high cabinets. Some can leap about 2.5 meters high from a standing position. Cats are typically known for being very inquisitive, and so are the savannas. They often learn how to open doors and cupboards. Many savanna cats do not fear water and will play with or even dive into water. Some owners even shower with their savanna cats. Presenting a water bowl to a savanna may also prove a challenge, as some will promptly begin to bat all the water out of the bowl until it is empty, using their front paws.
Questions 19 to 21 are based on the passage you have just heard. Question 19. What do we learn about the savanna cat? Question 20. What is characteristic of savanna cats? Question 21. What do some people do with their savanna cats? Passage 3. When children start school for the very first time, parents often feel a sense of excitement coupled with a touch of sadness at the end of an era. This is the start of a new adventure for children, playing and interacting with new friends, sharing, taking turns, and settling into a new routine. But of course, this is not the start of your child's education, which in fact began at birth. Back then, you would have been your child's most influential teachers. During this time at home, your child would have learned more than at any other period in their life. During your child's first year in school, much time will be spent in learning to read, and they need to know that this is fun and worthwhile. Your child will naturally copy you, so it is important that you are seen reading and enjoying books, newspapers and magazines, rather than just absorbed in screens. Ultimately, an excellent education should be a close partnership between parents and teachers. A child's year splits fairly neatly into thirds: a third at school, a third asleep, and a third awake at home or on holiday. Irrespective of the quality of a school, a child's home life is of key importance. It is the determining factor of their academic success. Your child may have started on a new journey, but your work is far from finished.
Questions 22 to 25 are based on the passage you have just heard. Question 22. How do parents feel when their children start going to school? Question 23. What does the passage say about children's education? Question 24. What should parents do for the success of their children's education? Question 25. What does the passage say is the key factor of children's academic success?
This is the end of listening comprehension.
听力部分结束了，即将答题卡1 放置桌面左上角。下面由监考老师收取答题卡1。
我来看一下考得怎么样啊？都感觉大家好像考得不是很好，是吗？来，先对一下答案，看一下对多少。先对一下答案，可以大概算一下，看一下你对了多少个。然后咱们这个讲评的话呢，依然是在这节课，就是我们模考这个教室底下，就是我们的视频讲解。149，那你很稳啊。错的很少吗？你看，已经有同学错的很少了，大家不用担心。7点半上线。对了多少个嘛？你们可以先截一下图，对。待会儿7点半的时候呢，去点击一下课程表那个地方，然后在里边来查看一下这一期模考的一个讲解到是怎样的。错了17个还是对了17个？对了21个，然后对了17个。这次感觉都没有怎么，感觉我们这一次好像很多同学都是说考的不是很好诶。没事，大家去看一下老师的讲解，看一下到底是哪个部分有问题，没有关系，我们还会有模考的，下次再进步一点。然后给大家放一下我们今天的打卡图，先给大家放一下我们今天的打卡图，稍等一下。然后大概是7点半的时候会上线，大家待会儿记得刷新一下，里边就能看得到。进步了吗？还是有同学有进步的吗？只有你只对7个吗？7个的话呢，还是要努力一点，对。来晚了，大家看一下回放就好，大家会有回放给大家。考完才来，心态崩了，没有关系，大家看回放嘛。没事，我们下一次先记一下，就大家每次打卡大概记录一下你这一次考了多少分，然后看一下下次有没有进步之类的，也可以稍微总结一下。然后这里就是我们今天的打卡图，记得拍一下哦。对，如果说真的就是感觉越考越差的话，可以复习一下，大概检查一下自己最近的状态是怎样的。打个图，记得拍一下。答案能再看一下吗？可以，我这里再给大家放一下。这里拍来干嘛？打卡图的话，我们有一个抽奖活动啊，就是打卡图在微博上面来进行打卡，然后我们是会有个抽奖活动。可能大家对这个解题方法还没有掌握得很熟练，等到熟练之后，多练之后就会好很多，就不用担心。哪个微博啊？就是微博，然后在上边带一下话题“胖人成长记”，然后确认一下考生的官微。没有微博，看你们自己的习惯嘛。如果说只是想记录一下你的一个，就是你这一次考试的一个心态，或者是你这一次考试成绩的话，那就没有必要一定要带话题打卡。但如果说是想要抽奖的话呢，一定要记得带上话题。还退不了，你现在直接退出去就好，没有问题的话就可以先离开教室。讲题吗？解析，待会儿我们会有视频解析，就是在咱们课程表底下就能看得到，会有个视频的讲解，老师已经先录制好的。198.8分， 还可以，198是还可以。回放什么时候开始啊？我这边的回放的话呢，大概8点钟，然后那个视频的解析的话呢，7点半的时候就会上线。行，大家记得下次加油啊！记得要去看一下回放，看一下我们的这个讲解。